For March Madness 2022, I am partnering with BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. Using the link in the description, you can get a 125% sign-up bonus using the promo code JOIN125. A $100 minimum deposit is necessary. Get in on the action on this NCAA tournament and March Madness season and any other sport in general, and make some money. Get in on the action with BetUS. Before we get started with this video, I want to let you guys know about my Discord server. We're talking college basketball live games, just college basketball in general, bracketology, Q&As, all that stuff. Hit the link in the description to join the Super Celtic 24 Discord server. Sup guys, it's Alex here, and welcome to the 2022 Big 12 Tournament Predictions. Now, if you look at this bracket here, I do have to mention one thing. There are 10 Big 12 teams, but as you see, there's only 9 teams here in the bracket. That is because Oklahoma State got hit with some NCAA sanctions, and one of those sanctions was a postseason ban for both their conference tournament and from the NCAA tournament this year. So Oklahoma State's season already done. I think they were, I want to say they're going to be the 7th seed or the 6th seed, somewhere around there in the actual Big 12 tournament if it was to actually happen. But alas, they are not. So I had to throw that in there before we take a look at the bracket. And also before we take a look at the bracket, I want to talk about the subscriber giveaway. If we hit 7,777 subscribers by Selection Sunday, which is March 13th, only a week away, I will be giving an NCAA tournament ticket to a random entrant. All you got to do to enter is subscribe to this channel, turn those post notifications on, take a screenshot, send it over to @AlexPrice24 on Instagram. And that's really how you enter. More details are in the description below. I'll send you a confirmation message once I get your message over on Instagram. But yeah, enter that subscriber giveaway. We always do it every year. It's been going pretty good for the past couple of times. But yeah, taking a look here back at the bracket, this Big 12 season was absolutely crazy. I mean, kind of similarly to the SEC, there's a little bit of separation up at the top. I mean, I think there's a pretty clear top 3 teams. I mean, Texas, TCU kind of making up that kind of next tier. I'd say Texas is honestly in a tier of their own because I kind of put TCU and then Iowa State in the same tier. But the top 3 by far are Kansas, who ended up as the 1 seed, Baylor, who ended up as the 2 seed, and then Texas Tech, who ended up as the 3 seed. In fact, I think Kansas and Baylor actually tied for the 1 seed, but the tiebreaker ended up being their common record against Texas Tech, which I think Texas Tech had gotten swept by Baylor, or Baylor had gotten swept by Texas Tech, and then I think Kansas went 1-1. So I think that ended up being the tiebreaker right there. But taking a look at the rest of the bracket, Texas is the 4 seed, TCU is the 5 seed, then we have Iowa State as 6 seed, then we have as the 7 Oklahoma, Kansas State as the 8, and then West Virginia as the 9. So a couple of things I wanted to mention for these teams before I get into the predictions themselves. Kind of taking a look at it. TCU as the 5 seed. This is a team that nobody really thought was going to make the tournament this year, but they've been playing their way in. Jimmy Dixon's squad has been doing pretty good. They upset Kansas back last Saturday, and then they almost beat Kansas again on Wednesday. They did kind of a home and home back-to-back. I think one may have gotten canceled earlier in the year or something like that, but you never know. But TCU is playing pretty good. It'll be interesting to see how far they can get here in this tournament. Then Iowa State. This was a team back in November, December that I was full on board. I was on the Iowa State train. I thought they were going to make a potentially deep run in the NCAA tournament. But I don't know if I can support it. They went on a huge losing streak. They kind of righted the ship a little bit. But sometimes their offense is literally non-existent. I mean, the past couple of weeks, there was a game where they scored 36 points at home. I think it was against Oklahoma State. And then earlier this year, I think they might have scored in the 30s again. I know they for sure scored in the 40s in a game. But sometimes Iowa State's offense just doesn't work. I don't know what's going on. And then Oklahoma as the 7th seed. This was a team that a lot of people thought were going to make the tournament this year. I mean, with Porter Moser having his first season at the helm, he used to be the old Chicago coach. I thought that this team was going to be a lot better, but they really faltered down the stretch. I mean, they were a projected 6 or 7 seed for most of the season, but as of late, I think they're like 16-14, their actual record, something like that now. So a lot of losses have been piling up. And in Joe Lenardi's most recent bracketology, you have your first 4 out, you have your next 4 out, and then Oklahoma is shown as the 3rd team after the next 4 out. So they're like the 11th team out of the tournament, so they have a lot of work to do. I don't think a win over Baylor is going to be enough. I think they may have to beat Baylor and Texas Tech. I mean, heck, they may have to go and win that Big 12 tournament as a whole. They are pretty far out. Definitely need to beat Baylor and Texas Tech. I don't know about winning the whole thing, but the more wins you can get as Oklahoma, the better. And then Kansas State, West Virginia, not a whole lot to talk. I guess West Virginia, they were a team that were in the tournament picture for the first half of the season, but they've just completely sucked after the break. Taz Sherman's been dealing with a concussion issue, so that has a little bit to do with it, but overall, West Virginia's got to show more. So, as you guys know, every time that I do one of these conference tournament predictions videos, I put it in Excel here so that way we can kind of visualize how I think the bracket's going to go. We'll go round by round. Up first, we'll have Kansas State versus West Virginia. I wanted to pick West Virginia to actually win this game, but I don't think I can do it. Kansas State, I didn't really mention it a couple minutes ago, but Kansas State, they've kind of been showing up a little bit recently. They kind of played their way into the next 4 out a couple of weeks ago, but recently they've kind of just been falling back to earth. But I do think that Kansas State will advance to the Big 12 quarterfinals there, which, I mean, that's only the one game where you advance, which sets up Kansas versus Kansas State for a spot in the semifinals. This was actually an interesting game whenever they played a little bit ago. Kansas State, I think, had the game basically won. It was like 2 minutes left to go. I think Kansas State was up by like 7 or 8, but then they somehow let Kansas back into the game, and Kansas was able to walk out of there with the W. And I think that they're going to walk out of here with the W again and advance on to the semifinals there. So up next, we have Texas versus TCU. This is a complete 50-50 for me. Texas is kind of like Alabama from the SEC. Maybe not to that extent, but Texas has been really inconsistent this year. They can beat any team, but they can also kind of lose to any team. I feel like they have a ceiling, but I think this team is really good. I mean, heck, they just played Kansas to overtime yesterday, so that's kind of tells you a lot about how Texas can perform. And then TCU, they've beaten Kansas. TCU can also beat a lot of these teams. I think that TCU had also beaten Texas Tech, or maybe they gave them a really good game at the very end of the season. But Texas, I do think, will advance here on to the Big 12 semifinals. I don't think that TCU will pull off the upset there. Then we have Texas Tech versus Iowa State. As much as I'd like to pick Iowa State to advance there so I can have an upset, I just don't see it happening. I don't see how Iowa State's going to beat Texas Tech right there. I think that Texas Tech will advance to the Big 12 semifinals, where they will meet the winner of Baylor and Oklahoma. And I think that that may be the easiest game, honestly, for me to predict. And, of course, watch it happen that actually Oklahoma ends up beating Baylor. But I think that Baylor's going to handle Oklahoma here. I don't think that one's going to be much of a contest at all, which sets up kind of a chalky semifinals here. But if you check out my other conference tournament predictions videos, and 2 of them, I guess I won't say any spoilers, but you got to go check those out anyway. I don't always go chalk with these tournament prediction videos. Don't want to spoil it. This is the first one that you're watching. But up first, Kansas versus Texas, a very storied program here, or a very storied rivalry for college basketball. Kansas, I do think, will advance past Texas. I don't see Texas really pulling off the victory there. I mean, heck, they forced overtime yesterday, but honestly, I just don't really see it happening. Texas Tech and Baylor, man. Texas Tech, this is the crazy thing. Texas Tech I view as a Final Four team. Baylor I view as an Elite 8 team. I'm not quite sure if they have the depth to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament, but here in this tournament, I'm actually going to go with Baylor winning this game. I think Baylor has shown in conference play that they can handle pretty much anybody. Baylor always steps up in the tournament as well. I think Texas Tech will make it's kind of crazy. I can't really explain it. I think Texas Tech is going to make a deeper run in the NCAA tournament, but Baylor will get the best of them. Here, I know that Texas Tech had ended up Texas Tech had beaten Baylor. They swept them. I think Baylor gets revenge here. So, Kansas versus Baylor in the Big 12 championship game for all the marbles. I am going to go. Do I go with the 1 seed Kansas Jayhawks? Do I go with the 2 seed Baylor Bears, the reigning, defending national champions? I am going to go with the reigning, defending national champions and 2 seed Baylor, winning it all here in the Big 12 and advancing on and winning the Big 12 championship. I think that they'll be able to handle Kansas there. Kansas, I think, is a Elite Eight, maybe Final Four team this year. We'll kind of see what happens with that. I feel like Big 12 has to be won by either Kansas, Baylor, or Texas Tech. I feel that Baylor has the kind of the chops and experience to make a run here and win the conference championship. So there are my predictions for the Big 12 tournament. Let me know what you think of them in the comment section below. Let me know what your own thoughts and predictions are for the Big 12 tournament. I'd love to kind of see what other people think as well. Check out all the other conference tournament prediction videos. Go to BetUS. Use that affiliate link in the description below. Join the Discord server, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all later.